The Jedi and Sith are ancient enemies, a topic of which I might cover in the future, and with that hatred of each other, there are very few instances of a Sith ever respecting a Jedi or vice versa, and Palpatine was a Sith who respected almost no one and feared almost no one. But just like Palpatine fearing Qui-Gon Jinn to such an extent, there was a Jedi that Palpatine did respect, and this Jedi could have ruined everything for Sidious. Not only did he beat two of his three apprentices, one when he was just a Padawan, and the second time beating the person who Palpatine believed would have been the strongest Force wielder of all time, and that Jedi was Obi Wan Kenobi. Despite being some of the most important characters in the Star Wars franchise, Obi-Wan and Darth Sidious have actually never met directly, but ignoring the fact that they've never met, that didn't stop Palpatine from developing some sort of respect towards the Jedi Master. Most of these thoughts of respect towards Obi-Wan would occur during and after the Clone Wars. But before all of that, Palpatine had a much different view on Obi-Wan Kenobi, and in fact actually viewed him as someone who was incredibly weak and a thorn in the side who was interfering with many of his plans. A minor inconvenience that wasn't too big of a problem. Palpatine's viewing that Obi-Wan was very weak bled over into him also viewing that he was a weak Jedi. All of this made Palpatine believe that Obi-Wan Kenobi was only a slight miscalculation in Anakin's path towards the dark side. And since Palpatine had a war to orchestrate, he never truly gave Kenobi much thought. And even when Kenobi throughout the war became the #1 master of Form 3 Sorzu, and his power grew with every battle, Palpatine still refused to acknowledge the Jedi, and still stuck to his guns that Obi-Wan was nothing more than a weak, underperforming Jedi among the many other weak Jedi. But despite his not-so-flattering view on Obi-Wan Kenobi, he could no longer deny that Obi-Wan was becoming a threat. Not as big as a threat as his late master Qui-Gon Jinn was, who was also the only person Palpatine ever feared. The reason he viewed Kenobi as a threat was because he was the only person in the galaxy that could keep the war criminal that is Anakin in check. He was like a big brother to Anakin, and it was this trust and feelings for each other that Palpatine hated. As long as Obi-Wan was alive, there would always be something in the way of Palpatine turning Anakin to the dark side and to a fully fledged Sith Lord. This would be why Palpatine tried his hardest to get the stubborn Jedi killed. This would take forming General Grievous having many encounters with Kenobi, as well as Dooku and Ventress trying to kill him. And when Palpatine felt like taking risks, he would even plan out some of the traps for the Jedi Master himself. But despite his best efforts, Kenobi would not die and only grow stronger each time. This would lead Palpatine to still view him as a minor inconvenience, but also a growing threat, and someone who had potential of power, which is something Palpatine respects, whether he'd like to admit it or not. But nothing could compare Palpatine for Vader's defeat on Mustafar to Kenobi. This was something that Palpatine thought was impossible. He even admitted that he saw no possibility of Obi-Wan winning their duel. In fact, he was so confident in Vader's victory that when he was informed that Kenobi was fighting Vader, he laughed in Yoda's face, believing that Vader would destroy Kenobi the same way he killed all the other Jedi in the temple. The fight should have been an easy win for Vader, but against all odds, he lost to his former master. And this event would completely shock Palpatine, and he would realize that the very man he viewed as nothing more than a womp rat was the very person who could have ruined Palpatine's entire plan. And after the Battle of the Heroes, we get to see more of Palpatine's feelings on this. As Vader is moping around saying how he lost to Obi-Wan and how he should have won, Palpatine loses his cool and states, "No, you weren't, so imagine what Yoda might have done to you." Obi-Wan triumphed because he went to Mustafar with a single intention in mind, to kill Darth Vader. If the Jedi Order had shown such result intentions, if it had remained focused on what needed to be done, rather than on the fear of the dark side, it might have proved more difficult to topple and eradicate. You and I might have lost everything. This truly shows how Palpatine changed his view on Obi-Wan. And as I have mentioned earlier, Palpatine respected power no matter where it is found, even if it's from a Jedi. And even if Palpatine hates him with all of his shriveled up heart, there would always be a small part of him that respected them for that power. Even as a young boy before becoming a Sith, Palpatine respected and idolized the Jedi's power, but was absolutely revolted by their lack of ambition to take power and rule. Palpatine would use this weakness to make himself stronger and the Jedi Order weaker. This would be through getting rid of their resolve, but Kenobi, unlike many Jedi, kept his resolve as one of his main core values, and demonstrated it whatever he could. This would be one of the many reasons Kenobi was viewed as a perfect Jedi, and while many Jedi would have been blinded by fear, anger, or anxiety, it was Obi-Wan Kenobi who was completely determined to defeat Vader that had a clear mind and allowed him to match Vader's skill. Even Palpatine admitted that when Vader fought him on Mustafar, it was the strongest he had ever been. He was completely engulfed by the light side of the Force, and it was because of all of this that Palpatine, even though he hated the Jedi with a burning passion, respected Obi-Wan Kenobi. It is honestly shocking that Palpatine ever respected anyone that wasn't a Sith, let alone a Jedi. But anyway, that is why Palpatine respected Obi-Wan Kenobi. What are your thoughts and opinion on this topic? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to like and subscribe, and with that, my fellow Star Wars nerds, may the Force be with you.